North Texas-based Daystar television network has died. The network shared on social media that Joni Lamb passed away this morning.
A prominent televangelist counselor vanished from screens the moment his wife died, but his real life tells a completely different story. For months, Dr. Douglas Weiss occupied the center stage at a major Christian broadcasting network alongside his spouse, serving as co-host and therapeutic voice on daily programming. Then, without warning or public explanation, he simply ceased to appear. No farewell address, no statement about his intentions, just silence, and it's been that way for well over a year now. But here's what most people don't realize. While he's been invisible on television, his entire professional operation has been running at full capacity behind the scenes. The disappearance of Dr. Weiss from broadcasting screens has caught the attention of curious observers, critics, and longtime viewers who've been left wondering what prompted such an abrupt exit. His name, once regularly featured across on-air content, has essentially been erased from the network's active programming roster. This shift happened with shocking speed following his wife's passing in the spring of 2026. Nobody from the organization has offered a transparent explanation for this complete removal. The lack of any official statement has only intensified speculation. Was he forced out? Did he choose to step back voluntarily? Is there a deeper institutional conflict at play? The reality, as it turns out, involves a tangled web of personal loss, organizational turmoil, and internal power struggles that extend far beyond what the typical viewer might suspect. The invisible transition for several years preceding his abrupt exit, Dr. Weiss represented one of the most recognizable faces within the evangelical broadcasting space. He worked alongside his spouse in a highly visible capacity, contributing therapeutic insights and spiritual counsel to millions of daily viewers. His presence was significant, arguably second only to the founding family's most prominent members. Yet within weeks of his wife's death, he had transformed into a ghost. What makes this vanishing particularly notable is how complete it has been. Not a single new recorded segment, no live appearances, no media interviews of any kind, whether on religious programming or mainstream outlets. For someone with decades of television experience, including past appearances on major talk shows and news platforms, this silence appears absolutely intentional. The void left behind raises urgent questions nobody in leadership seems willing to answer. Yet simultaneously, his professional counseling enterprise based in Colorado continues to operate with regular service hours and active patient care. His online presence, including professional materials and therapeutic content, remains vibrant. This stark contrast between total media shutdown and robust clinical activity suggests a calculated withdrawal from the public spotlight. So what happened? The answer requires understanding who this man was before television and how he became so entwined with the organization in the first place. The psychologist's foundation, Dr. Weiss, arrived at his prominent media platform with credentials already well established. For over 30 years, he operated a respected counseling practice specializing in relationship dynamics and addiction treatment. His clinical work earned him recognition substantial enough to secure television appearances on major programs, household names in daytime and cable television years before any involvement with Christian broadcasting. He penned approximately 40 books exploring themes of psychological healing, marital recovery, and therapeutic methodology. His reputation stood entirely independent of any religious network, making him a credible outside voice when he eventually joined this organization. His integration into the broadcasting world accelerated following a significant leadership transition. After the network's co-founder passed in late 2021, his surviving spouse stepped into solo leadership of the massive operation. During this period of organizational strain and grief, personal bonds developed between the widow and Dr. Weiss. Their connection deepened from professional collaboration into romantic relationship. By mid-2023, they had married. This union attracted substantial controversy and negative commentary, particularly because his previous marriage had recently dissolved, and the timeline between dissolution and remarriage appeared compressed to many observers. Critics and community members questioned the appropriateness of such rapid transitions, particularly given the religious audience's traditional values. These concerns were never directly addressed on air by the organization, despite their prominence in viewer communities and online discussions. Following their marriage, Dr. Weiss transitioned into a regular co-hosting position. He appeared alongside his spouse daily, becoming the second most visible non-family broadcaster affiliated with the network. His therapeutic background merged with spiritual messaging, creating a unique positioning. For approaching 2 years, this became his primary professional identity. But underlying health conditions would soon reshape everything. A decline nobody discussed. His spouse had been managing serious medical challenges for quite some time, though precise details remained carefully guarded by those in her inner circles. Investigative observers noted peculiar patterns suggesting intensive medical interventions, including private aviation trips to distant medical facilities in late months of 2025. Rumors proliferated across online communities regarding her specific diagnosis. Many speculated about bone-related malignancies, though the organization never offered official confirmation of any particular condition. The information remained shrouded in secrecy. On April 6 of 2026, Dr. Weiss made public acknowledgement of her medical struggle during a broadcast. He disclosed that his spouse was managing 2 spinal fractures and requested audience prayers. This disclosure marked his final confirmed on-camera appearance with the organization. The severity of these medical revelations foreshadowed darker developments ahead. Her death occurred on May 7th at age 65. The organization subsequently released a statement noting she had been quietly managing critical health complications that progressively worsened. The announcement also indicated that organizational succession planning had already been established in advance to maintain continuity. The planned transition suggested complex decisions had already been made behind locked doors. The memorial service held 3 weeks later drew substantial attendance at a Texas venue, featuring prominent political figures and ministerial leaders. The event underscored the organization's influence and complicated internal family dynamics. Notably absent from ceremonial speaking roles was her son, who had previously faced serious allegations and removal from organizational positions. He attended, but remained largely obscured from public view and camera focus. Dr. Weiss did not deliver remarks in person at the memorial service. Rather, he provided a pre-recorded statement explaining that live remarks would be emotionally overwhelming given his grief. The recorded message reflected on their relationship and his profound loss. It remains his sole public statement since her passing. The power realignment following the passing of the organization's matriarch. Leadership governance shifted toward a collective model rather than identifying a single successor. Reports indicate that trusted, long-tenured personnel rapidly consolidated decision-making authority. This group included legal counsel, senior executives, financial officers, and family members from the surviving generation. This transition away from singular leadership toward committee-based governance aligns with patterns common among faith-based organizations centered on one dominant personality. When such a figure departs and the obvious successor faces alienation, the institutional architecture must adapt. Dr. Weiss, lacking any formal governance position or ownership stake, had no legitimate claim to authority. His association with the organization existed purely through marriage, and now that bond had been severed by death. The emerging power structure quietly excluded him entirely. Multiple investigations suggest this leadership circle initiated internal practices designed to reinforce collective governance and institutional continuity. Though some reports stem from sources with acknowledged critical perspectives, the overall pattern indicates insiders consolidating control and systematically removing external figures. Financial scrutiny has intensified amid these organizational restructurings. Watchdog organizations have questioned resource allocation and demanded greater transparency, particularly regarding questionable expenditures linked to the couple's personal activities. These allegations remain officially unconfirmed, but have circulated widely across investigative channels. The exclusion of Dr. Weiss represents calculated institutional strategy. Given that controversies continue swirling around his prior divorce and rapid remarriage, reintegrating him into visible roles carries substantial organizational risk. Faith-based broadcasting depends heavily on donor confidence and audience trust. His reemergence could reignite these conflicts precisely when leadership seeks stability. The organization appears to have determined that maintaining distance serves its interests better than any attempt at normalization or reintegration. Rachel, the spouse's adult daughter, has assumed the most visible family representation within this new leadership arrangement, maintaining Lamb family continuity while remaining subordinate to the broader executive committee. The actual operational authority likely resides with the collective rather than any single individual. This distributed model may strengthen the organization's resilience during contentious periods while diffusing accountability across multiple parties. A career redirected since withdrawing from broadcasting prominence, Dr. Weiss has largely refocused on clinical psychology. His Colorado Springs practice maintains consistent operational hours and active caseloads with no indication of reduction or retirement. His contemporary online activity reveals a practicing therapist actively engaged in professional discourse. Posts addressing therapeutic modalities, cognitive performance optimization, and evidence-based treatment methodologies demonstrate ongoing engagement with psychological literature and contemporary clinical practice. This contrasts sharply with total erasure from television and public ministry. His historical television show continues being credited to his name, yet no evidence suggests active production or recent episode generation. His well-documented history on major national talk programs and news networks dates back years, and nothing indicates imminent return to televised work. Whether Dr. Weiss might someday resume media ministry work remains genuinely uncertain. The organizational leadership has signaled no interest in reinstating him to prominent on-air positions, largely because his role was entirely contingent on his marriage rather than any independent professional standing within the institution. For any return to televised ministry, Dr. Weiss would need to independently develop programming or propose entirely novel initiatives disconnected from his prior co-hosting responsibilities. This scenario represents the only realistic pathway if he chooses to maintain public visibility. However, lingering controversies surrounding the timing and nature of his prior separation and subsequent remarriage continue affecting public perception within conservative Christian circles. These sensitivities persist among significant portions of the organization's core audience. From an institutional perspective, gradually reducing his profile minimizes reputational exposure, particularly when donor relationships and viewer loyalty depend on maintaining credibility. The broader Lamb family dynamics further complicate any potential rehabilitation or reintegration efforts. Given that the son remains excluded from visible leadership roles amid unresolved conflicts, the family remains fractured. Without familial reconciliation and restored relationships, Dr. Weiss possesses limited options for renewed engagement at the organizational level. His absence from consideration reflects his lack of institutional foundation, without ownership stakes, governance role, or family connections now that his wife has passed. His ability to influence decisions or negotiate reintegration remains minimal. Yet withdrawal from broadcasting does not equate to abandoning his professional calling entirely. Clinical psychology offers a substantial platform for ongoing impact and service delivery without sustained public exposure. This quieter existence might provide the psychological space necessary to process significant personal grief and reconstruct his career trajectory on independent terms. It also shields him from public judgment related to the controversies that have followed his recent biographical chapters. The less visible he remains, the fewer opportunities exist for renewed criticism or social media scrutiny. Regarding his long-term professional trajectory, the fundamental question concerns whether he intends to seek eventual re-entry into public ministry or maintain exclusive focus on clinical work. Given organizational positioning, lingering controversies, and fractured family connections, most observers anticipate he will continue his private practice indefinitely. The organization, meanwhile, proceeds forward under restructured leadership with Dr. Weiss's chapter in its narrative effectively concluded. The unfinished story. Dr. Weiss's sudden withdrawal from televised prominence results from convergent factors: personal bereavement, organizational realignment, lingering public controversies, and shifting family dynamics that left him without any institutional foundation. Redirecting his professional focus toward clinical practice appears the most reasonable choice amid these complex circumstances. His situation illustrates broader tensions within media-dependent faith organizations when dominant figures pass away or become controversial. The organization must navigate competing interests, maintaining institutional stability, protecting donor relationships, managing family dynamics, and determining how to treat individuals who were prominent primarily through personal connections rather than formal institutional roles. For Crime Brief followers seeking deeper understanding of these dynamics, this breakdown explores the often hidden complexities behind public religious broadcasting. What initially appeared as simple disappearance reveals itself as sophisticated institutional maneuvering, unresolved family conflicts, and calculated public relations strategy. If you found this analysis insightful, please like this video and subscribe to Crime Brief for ongoing coverage of these continuing developments. We appreciate your engagement with these important stories. Thanks for watching.